It's more sex that violates the Prime Directive that's evil. Well, I don't know. I have complicated feelings about the Prime Directive.
And with that piece of information shared live to stream, we are back.
Oh yeah, it's time for us to overthrow the Federation.
Yep, Federation Prime Directive overthrown in the sexiest way possible. Okay, so welcome back everyone. We are live and back with our craziness as we continue into the black, our Star Trek adventure. We are on the bridge of the USS Sacagawea with our captain Gay Elixir and the rest of her senior staff. After having had our Caucasian diplomatic team spend some time with the Bjorn, Bjorn, a very early incarnation of the Bajoran people, as we are 3,162 years in the past from the referential time point in time of 2370. The crew is currently, as far as they know, stranded in time. There are some phenomena that they've figured out that could be used to push themselves back in the forward direction, should that be of interest to them. But they have also had, or the captain has also had an admonition from what may have been Bajoran prophets, may or may not have been Bajoran prophets, saying, change nothing, change everything. We are in the Shackleton Expanse, and So we have about an hour or so left in our stream. Captain, is there anything specific you would like to do at this point?
Yeah, let's go chase down an orb.
All right.
I want to go find that orb of perception, and yeah, that seems.
Oh yeah, yeah. You said we had found a book about the orb of perspective.
Orb of perception.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
The problem is that's a fictional book, so it's someone basically imagining themselves going through that journey. And many of the planets are fictionalized. There are some wild ideas of the species that might be out there. Interestingly, one of them seems to resemble a race known to the Federation as the Tholians. They are a quadruped species, I believe, which appear to be primarily made of crystal. They are very, very hot-blooded, and when I say hot-blooded, I mean they are thermally operated at a temperature of about 380 degrees Celsius. And they are extremely xenophobic.
Okay,
This is
I
mentioned
know
in.
what I did.
Sorry, this was mentioned in the text.
Yes, and they refer to these people as the Carni. And the first stop along the path of perception from where you are, or the next stop, is actually in Carni space.
Well, XO, what do you think?
I'd say that we should counter-reference what we found in that text with the path of the probe and see if they match up or not.
That's an excellent suggestion. What's our status on getting that probe back to Bejor, by the way?
The probe is still being refitted. Needs about another 12 hours work before it can be launched.
Yeah, but even if we launch it, isn't there the possibility that it will be stopped by the almost Klingons?
It's possible. They sure didn't stop at getting this far. So.
I wonder how it got this far without no one encountering it before.
Well, there's two very realistic possibilities that I see. One is that it was actually launched from around here by the current Bajorans, and the other is that very possibly nobody actually paid attention to a tiny probe moving through a vast quantity of space, particularly because the probe wasn't really doing anything like to stand out.
It was a rock in an ice sheet, basically.
Yeah.
Or perhaps it was launched from a different point in space, so it approached this space from a different direction.
Which I think comes back to my first point, yeah. So, at any rate, yes, let us cross-reference our new information with the probe's information and see what we get. And that might tell us not only about the orb, but also a little bit about the probe.
Yeah, we can also use the maps that the Ba- Bajor um, got us.
What
It is the most up to date to this date that we have.
what exactly is the in what exactly am I agreeing to travel through Bjorn space without causing anybody any headaches?
Yep. So the agreement terms are quite simple. Number one, you'll notify the Bjorn of any course changes and intended destinations while in their sphere of control. Uh, they expect you to respect their agreement with the Carney, having if you're going to enter their space from if you're going to enter the Carney space from beyond space, they expect you not to do that. If you're going to enter the Carney space, don't do it from their patch, basically. And it basically says, respect their borders, don't piss them off. But there is actually a loophole that is fairly glaring, saying as long as you don't approach the Carney from beyond space, they don't care as much. On your own heads be their reaction.
Okay. And we now have an idea of where their space is relatively.
You do. You actually have there is a small corridor that spans the. So beyond space is kind of like a V shape, and at the top bottom of the V there is a very thin corridor where they can travel between the respective legs of the V. And that's pretty close to Narendra. Um, the Carney space acts as a sort of a wedge in between the V, and contains something like 30 to 40 star systems, of which your long-range sensors would be able to tell you that there are about 20 worlds inhabitable by mammalian species such as those found in the Federation. Although for the Tholians, there would actually be more worlds because there's a number of Class Y worlds in there as well, and Class Y would provide no challenge to the Tholians.
Those are demon planets, aren't they?
Yarp.
Right.
Well,
So, yeah, what the name of the this the made up name of the species that gave the Bajor their
The
weapons
Carney.
again? Right, and we can catch their the Canis territory for long sensor.
You can, yes. You could do, and like I said, you're able to detect that there's a lot of planets in their environment that could be potentially suitable. Most of the there's a good chunk of those planets. Actually, let me rephrase this. So in the area of space occupied by the Bjorn, there are no Class Y planets. In the area of space occupied by the Carney, there are about 33 Class Y planets.
and as far as we can tell, the orb is somewhere in Carney space.
No, just one of the points in the path towards the orb is in Carney space. You could potentially just skip that path. Skip that point in the path. It's only just in Carney space. It's up at the northern tip of what they've claimed, apparently.
Well, generally speaking, in my learnings of the prophets rather, is that you don't reach the celestial temple by skipping steps. So we will follow the path as it's been laid out to us by the prophets. But first, Lieutenant Kiten,
Yes, Captain?
we are cross-referencing the information we have on the orb of perception against the probe's course and finding out what similarities and differences there are. Can you please do that and report back to me with what you learn?
Yeah, no, basically,
Yes, Captain.
basically the shift in terms of the probe's path clearly takes you to this location in Carney space. The novelized fictional account of someone speculatively going forth to claim that orb follows exactly the same path. Your astrometric analysis of the planet concerned, the star system concerned, is that it would have been on one of these sort of sig points. Remember, with the stellar drift over 3,000 years, some of the stars had sort of moved into sort of a zigzag path on that path of perception, but in this time it's more or less a straight line, or at least not a horribly convoluted line from the point where you're at, which is this planet where you found the probe, to through Carney space, and then sort of across over to the northwestern edge of the Shackleton Expanse, not far from where it joins 2370 Romulan space.
Well, Mr. Radat, do you think you can set us a course following this path that will not run us into any more anomalies?
The anomaly part is going to have to be the lieutenant's business, as they seem like they formed somewhat randomly, but I'll do my best, Captain.
Yes, as long as I have the time to run and I scan before we depart, we should be fine.
Okay. So, is that a command
Ensign-
to set a course?
Or rather, Lieutenant Grax, this is the captain.
Yes, Captain.
What's the highest warp we can safely travel through the expanse at this?
I'll just check with the GM. I think you said it was warp 7.
Yep, warp 7 in this space. Although the warp technology of the Beyond seems to be capped at about warp 4.
Yeah, we should leave their space in a lower warp, and when we are beyond their sensors, we could increase our velocity.
Especially since we know they have good passive or good active scanners, but limited passive scanning.
So here's the thing. Warp capable species exist at all different levels of capability all throughout the galaxy at different time periods. There are species that are limited to warp 2 back in the 24th century, just getting out into the stars. But that doesn't stop us from traveling at faster warps when we move through their systems. We
Yeah,
are
but
an alien species to the Bjorn. As far as they know, we just have advanced technology. I'm not worried about what they can see, as long as what they can see doesn't conflict with anything that's already in historical texts. So,
yeah,
if you want to pull up some historical texts from Bajor and tell me that they never encountered any fast warp capable species, then definitely, with no lost records, especially from these people that are so far removed from Bajoran society that we didn't even know they were out here, I think we're going to be okay traveling at whatever warp we want to.
yeah. But the thing is, during our conversations, we did mention that we weren't that much faster than their ship.
I'm not happy about that, Lieutenant.
It was in a moment that I had to make an excuse, and it was what I could. The cards that were given to me, as some humans would say.
There is
As
also
soon
the
as we're
fact
outside,
there is also the fact that having disclosed that that limitation exists, it would foster further distrust if you turned out to be Warp 7 capable, and it might not send the best message, especially if you were setting a course directly for Carney space.
well, I don't know how much more contact we're going to have with these people, so their opinion of me is not really super relevant. But that said, we are going to maintain the cover that was built for us a bit faster. We're going to set a course. We're 4.25 until we are outside of active scan range, and then we will boost up to warp 6.
Okay. You are aware that there are about 10 other or 15 other planets that are occupied by the Bjorn in this area of space. Um, about 7 on each side of the V. And to get to
But
the end of the V,
they don't have sorry, they don't have subspace communication yet.
no, they do not. But they do have
Well, then they're
warp
going to
4.
have to
I think we actually said they were
sure.
warp 4.5. They do have warp 4.5 capable vessels.
Well, my point is if they're still working on luminal speed communications, then anybody outside of this area is not going to know for days, weeks, and we'll be long gone before anybody can report, oh, we saw a warp 7 capable vessel popping by at warp 6.
Okay, all good. All right. So that's the plan then. So you're setting a course to Carney space, to that planet, which is marked as Galtronus on your star charts.
If Galtronus is the first stop on the path, then yeah, that's where we're going.
Do you need me to chart a course before I roll for our warps jump, or are we good just to go for the jump, Gemma?
I will require a go to warp roll. Standard difficulty 2. No problem.
I was going to ask if I can assist by checking if there aren't any bumps in the any anomalies in the way. Would-
Yeah, sure. So by all means, do a scan check.
A straight check or a assist? Sorry.
No, your normal scan, which is reason science, assisted by the ship with sensor science.
Okay. And someone should roll for the ship for Salter's roll as well.
Alfred, can you take care of that?
So that's control engines, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's a success.
Yeah. That's one from me and one from the ship.
Yeah, and someone should roll for the ship for my roll as well.
Okay, so engines science, I have 15 for the Sacagawea. So that's no problem. Nick, what did you have 2 successes or just the one?
I had one and the ship got one, so 2 total, but just one from me.
Okay. And Nick, if you could make a d6 roll for me, please. Or actually, before you do, how many points of power are you spending going into warp?
I believe we normally go 3, Captain?
Yeah, 3.
Okay. So it's actually 3d6. So just roll 2 more.
Well, I wish I had done that and not typed in 3, because the 3 didn't give us as good of a roll.
It wouldn't matter if I just take the first 2 from the second roll. It's only
Should only get 1 power back.
yeah, it's only
Because we got 1 effect.
effects that give you the power back, so 5 or 6. So you're down 2 power. Grax, if I can ask you to keep track of that. But it doesn't really matter because it gets restocked at the end of the scene anyway. So it's more a thing for combat. Alright, so you find yourselves going to warp, and you are in warp. Are there any scenes that you wanted to do before we wrap up for the evening? It looks like Taizo wants to have a chat to someone.
Yes, Taizo will just use her console to send a quick message to the captain and ask if they can have a somewhat private talk real quick.
Absolutely.
Okay, where will this talk be taking place?
We got the ready room is always private.
Okay.
Alright.